You are listening to Revealing Real Estate Podcast, where we dive into getting over your fear of taking risk in real estate and making money while you sleep. I'm Nick Oppedisano, your host and real estate guru with over 20 years of experience. It's time to get real. Welcome back to Revealing Real Estate. Man, this one's going to be fun. The reason why we're doing today's episode is there's a lot of young real estate agents who just got licensed, and to understand the mentality of maybe expectation, what their overview is in towards looking at the real estate industry itself from the outside, looking in, understanding kind of the main components of how to generate business, just kind of what somebody new who's just entering into the business thinks about what the industry is like. What we're going to do here is kind of reverse the situation to have them start asking me questions, who's, of course, a seasoned agent. I run my own team, for those that don't know me, and I do a lot of coaching and training for our real estate agents. So we have two wonderful young individuals who just joined the team. I'd like to introduce Atra Yokana to the team and Adam Akawaya to the team too as well. So difficult last names for sure. So we got Adam and Atra. So welcome to the team, guys. Glad to have you guys on board. We're excited to get you guys rocking and starting on the team.
We're excited.
So I guess you guys are going to have some set questions for me already, right? And I think the reason being is because there's going to be a lot of questions that young real estate agents who just got licensed, who have not transacted at all like you guys have, who just got recently registered with RICO right now, really don't understand what to do or how to get started within the business. And what we offer here on the team is to help individuals learn how to really make this a business and train them to make this a business. So I really want our viewers, our listeners, for young real estate agents who are going to have very similar questions to you, to want to ask somebody who's maybe seasoned like myself, who's been in business for 20 years, a lot about the real estate knowledge itself. So why don't we just kind of have some fun with this, some spitfire questions from you guys, how you guys want to do it to ask me. And then I think we're going to play off each other pretty well on that, and just kind of we'll create a wonderful podcast on this. And I think a lot of people would learn a lot from this. So why don't we start? Who wants to start first?
For sure. I'll start, because I think my first question kind of leads into the introduction.
By the way, too, as well, sorry, I don't want to cut you off on that, but I don't know exactly even what questions you guys are even going to ask me. I want to let our viewers understand this. This is just raw, and I don't even know what to expect over here right now. I know you guys kind of just sat down together just to say, hey, what questions do we want to ask through this process, and what people would think about it. So this is all raw, guys, so I have no idea what you guys are going to ask me.
Absolutely. So we're going to put Nick on the spot here a little bit. So Nick, as you were mentioning in your introduction, so I'm a 22-year-old. I'm brand new in the business. What kind of obstacles can someone my age expect to face? So, being brand new in the business, not having transacted at all, someone might be a little bit hesitant to work with me, especially given my age. How can I get past those obstacles? Not just me, but every young realtor who's looking in 18, 19, 20 years old, even up to 25, 30, younger realtors who are coming into this business fresh. How can we get past those challenges when someone might be hesitant to work with us?
Yeah, it's a good question. And a lot of times I think the biggest obstacle that you're going to face, or the biggest objection you're going to face, is the fact of your inexperience within the business itself. Yeah. Being so young within the industry right now is, how is a consumer really going to take you seriously? I truly believe you're making the right steps, not just because you're on my team, whether you joined any other team itself, by finding the right mentor who's going to get you through the process. And that's what we provide for young, inspiring realtors, because nothing really drives me more right now than watching people succeed. So watching you two succeed and really become, top producers within this business and attain that, I think is really satisfying for myself, and that's what really drives my passions today. And I think the difficult part is people taking you guys serious, in a sense where, why is somebody going to give you their biggest transaction or biggest value of ownership to something, and give it in the hands of somebody that hasn't sold a property yet? You don't really own real estate yet, because you guys are still very young, and you're looking to establish yourself within the industry. The way I would handle that objection specifically is the fact that you do have somebody who's been in the business and has that experience, that if you did have a question that you didn't know, and I always advise never answering a question that you really don't have the answer to. You always tell the people that I'll get back to you when it comes to finding out what you really need to know, because you never want to give somebody any false information, because I think you lose credibility that way, and I think you lose trust with that consumer automatically. And sometimes what you're going to find is people are going to test you within the business to really find out about market knowledge. Market knowledge is very key. You have to understand your product. You got to understand your areas. You got to understand, for instance, if you tell me today, a house 3,000 square feet in the Vlore Village area with a finished basement, 4 bedrooms, pretty standard, I'll give you right away off the top of my head pretty much what I think that price point will be in today's market.
Yeah.
That's how advanced you guys got to start becoming within the industry to really bring that expertise to the consumer itself. That's where you got to make sure that you guys really shine, and doing the right things at the very beginning where it comes to scripting and understanding language between consumer and realtor is very important. What I think the benefit that you guys got behind you is the energy and the hustle. And I think if you guys can really make that shine when speaking to the individual that you're working with, and show them that you're willing to go extra steps in working with that client, I think would go really a long way for you guys right now. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And, that was one of the things I think that set you apart as well when I was, meeting and trying to pick a brokerage, which every young and new realtor will have to do. That was something that set, you apart, really showing me how, we're going to kind of kick this thing off. Also the experience that not only you, but the entire team brings, kind of gives me a backing as well. So it gives me a little more credibility, and also that learning too with it to go along with it.
100%. What we're going to be able to provide you from a team's perspective is the fact that when you go to a listing presentation, you are going to be able to utilize all our just solds, all our just listed, all our marketing campaigns, our database, our social media, everything, every moving component when it comes to exposing a property for sale to attract buyers and attract traffic. And that's what the consumer really wants, is how can we get as many people inside that house so that we can bring a very good, solid offer to the table, and in the end is going to really put as much money in the pockets of our sellers as possible, our clients as possible, right? Absolutely. And the same thing with the buying side of things. I think the services that we're going to be able to do as a team's perspective, where you individually have, if you were going to win a listing against, and most people when they're going to sell their properties today will interview real estate agents. So a lot of times they're going to pick 3 or 4 realtors that are local, that specialize within the area, that have a big brand, and then maybe bring in also a relative or somebody that they really know. So let's say you were that relative who was just hired from your family member to come and give a presentation to why they should give you the listing of their home.
Yeah.
I think the only real way that you're going to win based on your lack of experience within the industry is that you're really going to have to discount your commissions on it, right? Where you're going to have to do it at less to nothing. And really, I would rather take 20 listings at a higher commission rate than take on 40 at 1%. Yeah. So what we're going to be able to attract to that consumer and bring to the table, based on our competition or somebody who just started within the business, is the fact that we can bring that market knowledge and that experience and those marketing campaigns that we're going to run and say, hey, Adam and Atra have the backing behind them now, because the OP team is going to be behind them to do all those things and help them through the guidance of those of bringing offers to the table and negotiating those deals. And with me, I'm with you guys every step of the way. Mm-hmm. And if I'm not available, there's always going to be a senior agent who's going to be able to guide our realtors to make sure that we're doing everything that we need to do to make this transaction from beginning to end as smooth as possible for the client.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that answers everything pretty well on that side. Yeah.
You actually answered one of my questions too, basically about new agents and when they're starting. So I knew the second I wanted to get into real estate, I knew I wanted to join a team because, you need guidance and you need mentorship. And I think it's really important. And I know you talk a lot about having a mentor and like how much that's done for you in the past. And I like having the idea of having the backing behind me, right? Like he said, we're new and we don't know. I know he interviewed a lot of brokerages, but you go up to somebody and you try to sell yourself and they're going to say, well, what do you do? At least now I can say, you know what, my business partner, Nick, or I work for the OP team. They've been in business for 10 years and we have 20 years experience on our team. So I really love that it is a team effort. We all look out for each other. So just saying that, what do you have to say to new agents that didn't even come to their mind to join a team? Or
Yeah, I think that today, nowadays, especially with mega teams taking over, and I think it's just going to expand more. And the reason why the numbers of transactions from realtors leaving the business, I think most of the time a realtor is going to leave the business within the first 12 months.
Yeah.
And though those numbers are very staggering and it's becoming bigger and bigger, is because agents are wanting to go out there and try to do this themselves. And they can. I'm not saying they can't, but you got to remember, you got to treat it as a business. Don't treat it as a career. And what I mean by that is, in any business that you're going to operate in, you're going to start out, it's going to cost you additional upfront cost, whether you got to go get a bank loan. You know, if I was in a retail clothing store, I have to stock my shelves with clothing, right? Absolutely. So I have to initially, fill up my shelves to make sure that I got product to sell to the consumer on the retail side of things. Well, think about real estate the same way. Well, if I'm going to start branding myself and I'm going to get myself out there officially to start building passive income, I need to start building a brand. I need to be recognized within the community. I need to be, subconsciously brainwashing the consumer that if you are thinking about selling your house or buying a house, how can I subconsciously make you feel, if you're not working with somebody, again, I'm going to reiterate that, to want to call that person or that specialty realtor in there. And that takes years of consistency and build up. That doesn't happen overnight. That doesn't happen in 6 weeks. Doesn't even happen in 6 months. I've spent, if you look at the time or the money I spent into building a brand, that was years in development where I spent millions of dollars into doing that. And new agents within it, I think they think that they're going to go out there and just post on social media and feel like they're going to get all this abundance of business until they come to the realization it's not really like that. And there's a lot of work that needs to be put into building a business and building a brand. And I want to make it clear, there's a lot of real estate agents right now that just will make a lot of mistakes early on. And having a mentor, having a team behind you, we're going to expedite that so that all those mistakes that we've already know that you're going to make will fast track you to at least get to 5 years ahead of where you should be. And not really make crucial mistakes that you would make if you were on your own.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like even just having someone that's on your side, that's willing to answer your phone call and just answer all your questions really relieves you of all the stress and all the, what if this happens? What if that happens? At least now I know if I'm in a situation where something's going wrong, or even if I'm at a showing or I'm doing this, whatever it is, I can call Nick and Nick's going to answer. And if Nick doesn't answer, I can call Rocco. I could call somebody else on the team and just ask them their advice, or, hey, what do I do in this situation? Like, even if it's just whatever the situation may be, I think that takes a lot of stress off your shoulders.
The easy part is setting up the appointment. The hardest part in this industry is closing. And I think that's where people really have to understand that that's what it's about. We can set up a listing appointment for you guys every single day, and we're going to work on those goals. So how do I get into more doors and talk to more people on a daily aspect? But if you're not really good at closing or understand the language into closing the consumer and making them understand your value, it's going to be difficult, right? And that process, we want to try to get you from A to Z a lot quicker than you were going to try to do this on your own. And that's kind of our main purpose here, and give you that guidance.
Nick, I wanted to actually expand on one thing you just said. I think something that Atra was saying as well is feeling like you can call someone without, bothering them, especially going through your first, couple deals, dealing with your first couple clients.
It's nerve-wracking.
You're going to nerve-wracking. You're going to have so many questions, stuff like that. So if I'm, having to call Nick 5, 6, 10 times in a day, I don't want to feel like I'm bothering someone at the end of the day. And that's one thing that I liked as well. Now, kind of going on the part about, building up your business, a lot of people might not be aware of the startup costs, the cost that it takes, the investment that you're making really in yourself. How can young realtors, or really any realtors, manage their money? So deals could be, far in between. People could be coming from, a job where they're getting a biweekly paycheck. How can they now, start to manage their money when they don't know when the next deal is coming in? They don't know when the property is going to close. How can they kind of stay afloat in those times when, might be a little slow?
There's going to be a lot of people that are going to try to sell you everything, especially when it comes to online lead generation. don't fucking buy Google Leads. I hate them. So I'm just telling you guys, I've spent a lot of money. I've had ISAs making phone calls to them. I don't like them just because the amount of work that you got to put in and the amount of touch points and attempts to try to do it by sending emails and text messages. You got to remember where the consumer's coming from at the very beginning.
Yeah.
That consumer, that online lead, before they even hire a real estate agent, or they're going to start going to go look at properties and drive around communities or go to an open house, these guys here right now don't want to go through that process. They're not ready. They're 12 months ready.
Mm-hmm.
So what they're going to do is they're going to go online, and all they want to do is they're really browsing.
Encourage themselves.
They encourage themselves.
Just
Get
look
them
at
there.
it.
Well, how should I start? Let me look
Yeah.
at trying to get some market knowledge and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And then so they're going to go to these websites like Zoocasa or even on our site, we have ways to capture that client to enter their information, but they're not really ready. In our business, what we're looking for is now ready business, 3 to 6 months away, right? I don't care for the 14th month lead that's going to come in that you're going to put on a drip campaign, and buyers are going to be a dime a dozen, I'm telling you, because there's going to be a lot of buyers within the community, especially with low inventory. Everybody's looking to buy.
Yep.
I just feel like there's ways within this business that are inexpensive that can cost you $0 that are way more effective than you really starting to go and invest into these online lead generations. You know, one of the worst lead gens right now that I discovered is having a billboard.
Okay.
One of the worst.
Yeah.
Most expensive
Yeah.
and worst lead gen for me.
Yeah.
You have a billboard.
And I have a billboard.
And,
I have bus stops.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm on buses. And I send direct mailers out, which is probably at 15. Right? So if I can categorize, for me it became, I had to enter into that I look at what we call proactive lead generation, and then what we call passive lead generation. The proactive lead generation will start and then provide you where you can invest into the passive lead generation. So I tell realtors all the time, if you have a commission check that you've made, let's just say the average commission today for a realtor is about $10,000. Some deals you're going to make more, some deals you're going to make less.
For sure.
If you can separate it and really understand how to build a business, Uncle Sam, the tax man, is always going to want their 15 points, right? Especially now with Prex and stuff, and you guys will be learning about Prex and corporations and how to make it a business. 15% automatically goes towards your taxes. The other 15% should be going back into marketing and branding. The other money then is left over for you. We call it, what, you want to have fun with it? You know what I mean? For me, I would rather you invest that money and save it up so we can put into investments and build now a real estate portfolio so you guys can start understanding, it's like, having a guy who sells, shoes for a living but doesn't have nice shoes, right? Or a guy who sells suits but doesn't wear a suit every day. To me, it's imperative that you got to eat and breathe and believe exactly what you're selling, and to me, real estate is the path to really financial freedom.
Yeah, I think that's a big point. I think, managing the money, especially when you're first starting out, and all through your career, it might, like you said, become residual income, passive income for you. But just starting out like that, I think it's important that young realtors and new realtors are educated on how to manage that aspect of it.
And it's important, right?
Yeah.
And the first steps that we did for you guys, and people that need to understand that you need to build systems within your business.
Yeah.
And what we're working on right now is let's start with the systems first, because no business is going to survive without proper systems.
You need the foundation.
So let's get you the foundation. Let's build that foundation first and foremost, so then we can start building that foundation and what we call in this business, and you can make it residual and make the income passive. But you need to start, and the very beginning of the business for you guys. There's going to be, there's going to be a lot of hard work. There's going to be a lot of sacrifice that you're going to put in. Believe me, I put in that time already.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's going to be fun. You're going to do the right proactive lead gens that I can't wait for you guys to get your first listing. That it's going to be such an exciting moment within your life. You're going to say, wow, that light bulb just clicked.
Yes.
Right? And that's what this is going to be about.
For sure. So you touched on lead generation. We know billboards are a no now, and we know Google Leads.
100%. Yeah.
So what do you say? Like, it's an evolving market, and I know you started 20 something years ago. So which methods of lead generation do you feel have stood the test of time?
Oh man, I always really want to focus on a few things. For sale by owners are really big. I made a career on for sale by owners. I always believe focusing my lead gen to always look for people that are trying to sell a home. I prefer listings versus buyers because I'm able to multiply that much more business through a listing than I would from a buyer's perspective, right? On one listing, I can generate 3 more deals versus one buyer that I may transact on one deal. But I'm hoping that buyer would also have a listing that they would want to sell. But if they don't, it's only that one transaction. With our effective marketing systems that we have in place, and what we teach is that one listing will generate you 3 more to 4 more clients for sure by effectively doing the right things within your business. And when you have that listing, how do you work that listing properly? So yeah, I would effectively start with for sale by owners. We're looking for people that are actually out there wanting to sell and transact to sell their home. They're waving a white flag. They're waving at you saying, "Hey, I'm here. I want to sell my home." But what does a for sale really want? Why are they trying to sell their house privately? Even though we know as realtors that we would, if we took on that listing, we would be able to sell that property for more money than that for sale by owner would automatically, right? By putting it on the MLS and with our marketing campaigns and generating traffic, we and through our negotiating skills that we have learned throughout the years, we know that the commissions that they were going to pay us anyway, we're going to be able to get that on top of the price versus what they were going to be able to get trying to sell that house themselves. So why not give it to a realtor? Why not let somebody else just do their full-time job and manage it so you can go do what you do every day? Some people do think it's easy and think that they can negotiate that, or they want to save the buyer the money. Well, we're in business. We're here to maximize and represent our clients and get as much money as we can for them. That's our job. And we have to do that effectively. And we have to do that, where that person really wholeheartedly really trusts us to give us their most valuable asset that they're ever going to have in their entire life. So when a for sale by owner is trying to do that, I know statistically 90%, and I think that number is even higher, will end up using a realtor because they don't effectively know or will be able to get their property sold themselves.
Eventually. Yeah.
So I know that when they were ready to get their house listed on the market and through my effective systems that I put within my business, I knew that eventually when they were ready to hire a real estate agent, they were going to call me. Right back in the day, expired listings were allowed, but I think door knocking is more effective than any money that you're going to spend on online leads. Open houses are great, man. Open houses are a phenomenal source of generating business to people. Now, a lot of times, we do open houses to try to sell that home and keep that door open for attracting buyers to want to buy that house. But sometimes that product is not for that particular consumer who's walking into that home.
No.
So if they're not working with a real estate agent and you're asking the right questioning and listening more, those buyers that are coming to you are going to be way more better than any online lead that you're going to have to work on or generate from that.
For sure, yeah.
So why not start doing open houses? It's part of our job criteria, right? Now, when you're doing an open house too as well, could you door knock on that campaign versus that, when you're doing that open house? So if you effectively do open houses the right way and you essentially are door knocking for the right components on it, and there's so much behind it because what we have to teach and what we're going to be going through is about the language and the scripting and the questions. That's the real hard component on it, right? But
yeah.
So I would rather go to that. For me, that's more proactive. And what does that cost you?
Nothing.
$7. Doesn't cost you anything, right? So 0 expense, right? Look at your return on your investment.
Exactly.
Look at the return on that investment.
Yeah.
And usually this is things people have to figure out for themselves. But when you have someone that's done it and researched it and been in the market so long, they can let you know. 100%. I've tried it doesn't work, let it go.
Don't even bother.
Yeah.
Keep your money in your pocket because it's just a waste of money.
Yeah.
Right. So and I've gone through that over 20 years, right? And I can tell you, if I started out with the bus stops and the billboards, I would have went bankrupt, right? Because I wasn't doing enough of the proper lead gen to support the passive lead gen, because now it becomes passive because when you're a recognized brand within the community, and there's some wonderful real estate agents out there that have built a brand, and there's enough to go around for everybody, believe me, that that then becomes more passive, and that's when that starts to work. I really want people to understand that marketing is a puzzle. It's not just one thing that works through the passive side of things. It's a collective of many different things. And for sale signs right now is the number one source of business that we're going to try to receive. But when somebody sees your for sale sign, and then they see that sign turn from for sale to sold, and then they see that brand associated to the billboard, to the bus stop, to the open house signs, to the flyer that's been distributed to the mail, to then social media, it makes the consumer feel like, hey, this is the branded agent that we should be using when we got to sell our home, because they just really dominate this community or dominate, this area, and they become the area specialist, and you want to be known as that area specialist. Yeah. But it's just not one thing. It's a collective of things. But those collective things do get expensive. You have to keep funneling that wheel and keep putting advertising dollars towards it. That's why I help people build and channel that off to understand that if you are increasing your business, your advertising budget should also be increasing as well.
Absolutely.
And that's what I like to promote a lot.
I think that point you just made kind of touches on my next point. Is it's obviously known that real estate's very big referral business. Referral business, like you said, turn into residual business. How can you kind of confirm that before, during, and after working with a client, even up to after it closes, following up with them, how can you ensure that they're going to, refer you to their family and friends? They're going to say, hey, I worked with Nick. It was the best experience I had. What kind of things do you do differently that separates you from somebody else to really make sure that they're coming back to you and also telling, everyone else about you as well?
For me, it's everything I do through the course when somebody's either going to transact with me, whether they buy or sell. Most of the time now, it's when they sell. Mm-hmm. It's all about leaving an experience with them. Yeah. And you can hire, there's 70,000 members of the Toronto Real Estate Board, and you can hire anybody you want. Why hire me for that perspective is because I'm going to give you a level of service that nobody else is going to give you. And that's what I really try to put up front and really make them understand the experience that they're going to get when they work with me. Mm-hmm. And having that knowledge when it comes to negotiations, because yes, anybody can go and get a wonderful photographer and put beautiful photos on it. Anybody can go out there and do Matterport, floor plans and, do the nice designer brochures and so forth. Yep. That's not what you're hiring me for. I got the right people in place that can do those things for me because I'm not very good at that. Mm-hmm. But what I am good at is negotiating. And what I can tell you this much is that my record will show that when I'm negotiating a deal, I like to get 99 to 100% of that asking price a lot of times. Mm-hmm. Yep. And if I don't get it, believe me, it's at no fault of mine. Mm-hmm. Right? It's price, it's location, and it's about the way the property shows. Mm-hmm. I try to nail those things on when I go take on a listing. That's what's going to help create value for that property, and in turn will generate more traffic. The more traffic I get will increase the amount of offers I get on the deal. Mm-hmm. So I look at, that's what I want to do is give people that warm and cuddly feeling when they're dealing with me. Okay. And I think that's what the business is about, right? Mm-hmm. It's making sure that when somebody trusts you with their house, that you're going to go and step up to the plate and do whatever you can to remove all that stress that is going to come with selling a property that people don't understand, and put it on your shoulders and absorb that.
Mm-hmm. And how can you show your appreciation? So if someone does give you that referral and someone tells, their friend or their aunt about you, they come to you, whether the deal goes through or not, what kind of ways can you show your appreciation of that person who initially referred you out?
Listen, anybody that refers my name and refers me business is going to get some sort of gift from us, for sure. Okay. I just think because just for them thinking about me mm-hmm. and referring my name really goes a long way for me. And I really am thankful that I have people out there that really advocate about what I've done for them in the past and really want to share that experience with somebody else that they have. Yeah. And my token of appreciation is making sure that person is going to be rewarded for it in one shape or another. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we do wonderful client appreciation parties, which are really good. Yeah. Every Easter we'll send an Easter pie to the clients that we've transacted with, right? I think those are special times for us and just our way of giving back. Little things like that is just making sure that you're on top of mind. you know, your CRM should be a solid built foundation where you're entering in, you know, their birthdays.
Yeah.
You know, they're when their house closes, you want to put in your system the anniversary of when that house is going to close, because how nice is it that you call that person up and you want to congratulate them? Hey, it's been 1 year that you've been living in your home. Hope you guys are enjoying it. How does that make that person feel? You know what I mean? But if they've never heard from you after the fact, you know, out of sight, out of mind, they're just going to forget you.
It's the little things that kind of make people
things.
remember you, and
100%. And that's why you see a lot of real estate agents out there do that, because they want to. It's not about the relationship between when they started working with you to the close.
No,
it's about working with you from the beginning to the close to
and
the
after.
End, right? For me, I have relationships and friendships with people that I've transacted with, where I have now their kids working with me. You know, that client has gotten his real estate license, and prior to that, he's transacted with me maybe 4 or 5 deals prior to all this happening.
Yeah.
But that's what it's about for me, right? It's about all the relationships and all the relationships that I built over the time frame.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah. So maintaining that is important.
Okay.
Right? People want to do business with people that they like and people that they trust.
Yeah.
I ain't doing business with you if I don't like you. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
If I like you, I'm going to work with you.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's how I am as a person.
Okay.
And majority of people are. So.
Yeah.
I'm going to hit you with 2. So you touched a lot on negotiations. Obviously, everyone wants to be a master negotiator, especially in this business. You always, you know, want to sell over asking, and you always want to purchase under asking. Is it something that you feel like you always kind of had in you? You just were able to master that? Or is that something that took a lot of training, took a lot of practice, took a lot of...
I get where you're coming from. It's a great question, and I'll tell you why. I always believe that, you know, to be successful in this business, either you got it or you don't. A kid who's going to grow up to play pro hockey or pro baseball, you know, genetically wise, they're athletes within their family. They're born with those genes inside. I believe real estate is a sport on its own. And I think a lot of times it's either you have it or you don't have it. And what I mean by that is I naturally never got coached for years. For the first probably 10 to 15 years, I never had a coach at all. Now, I always went to, like, you know, seminars where I took a piece from this coach and this coach and this coach and then just kind of made it my own. But I never really hired somebody to work in weekly, you know, with those coaching sessions one-on-one. I just made it my own. And I always had that natural ability that if somebody was going to call me for the first time, whether they were interested in an ad that I put out for a property that they wanted more information on, or they called me from a for sale sign, or even just at an open house, instantly I was able to connect and build a relationship with the first conversation that I had with them. And that is a gift. That doesn't come very easily. Can I teach that? Of course. Can we work on those scripts and making sure that those objection handlings may not come so easily for you or for Adam? They probably were a lot easier for me. And sometimes I'm sure I made mistakes over the years by doing it. But I definitely feel that could be taught. One thing that I don't believe could be taught is how hard somebody works. And you can't teach hustle. If somebody's going to hustle and work hard, anybody can become successful. If you don't, but working hard does not mean working hard and doing things the wrong way. It's working hard but doing things effectively that are going to produce for you.
And working smartly as well.
Working smartly,
yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So with clients, you know, sometimes people can be hard to work with, or they may be, you know, set in their opinions, and they may have like disagreements with you. So do you follow the ideology or like the mindset of, okay, well, that's my customer, I need to keep them happy, and the customer is always right, the same way you would with like a retail business? Or are you firm and set in like, I'm going to do it this way, this is what works, and obviously you have the ultimate choice, but I'm telling you right now, your way is wrong and my way is right, and this is what we're going to do?
I get through those scenarios many times over the years, and sometimes early on within my career, you know, I've always just wanted the business and really, you know, didn't refuse anything. And I dealt with people that were just really ruthless at times, you know, and the way they talk to you and their demeanor and who they were as people. I really didn't associate myself with them at all. But at the end of the day, I had a job to do. And when somebody hires me to do that job, I want to finish that job until that property is done and sold. Whatever I decide to do after that and continue that relationship is a whole nother topic on its own. But I try to feel when you hire me, I'm going to do whatever I can to do what I promised you I was going to do. But there are people that want to drive the wheel, where they come in and they say, well, no, I want you to list at this price, and I want you to do it at this way, and I don't need staging. We're going to, you know what I mean? And they're really just gun-ho to try to be the realtor. It doesn't allow me to do my job effectively at all. No. And we have to put boundaries. And if you don't put boundaries with that client, then they will walk all over you for sure. So you have to implement that. And what I mean by that is, if somebody says, you know, and I went to evaluate a house and the house was worth 1.2, but like, no way, my house is worth $1.3 million, I want to sell it. I will then talk to the seller and say, well, Mr. Seller, thank you very much. I appreciate your opinion on it. If you're really adamant about going on the market for $1.3 million, I'm willing to do that for you. But if it doesn't sell within a certain time frame, we have to be in agreements that we're going to do things my way after. Because a lot of times...
But even doing that already hurt.
The listing itself,
already
but
hurt.
sometimes you have no control over that. Do I want to lose the business for it? No. I'll take on the business knowing that they'll come to their own realization that, hey, Nick's way was right. But sometimes people need to go through the motions first before they realize that I was right.
Yeah.
So
why hire a professional?
Right. You know, because you know, with the way we're looked upon as realtors sometimes from the consumer's base is that we're just looking for the quick sale. We just want to go in and we want to go out. Well, that's not necessarily true. We want to make sure that we're going to maximize and get you as much money as we can. If we look at statistically marketing a home more aggressively within price point, we know that it's going to bring in way more traffic. It's going to attract way more cleaner financing. It's going to attract way more, much more leads with firm deals. You know what I mean? And we're going to get that home sold in a period of 2 weeks versus 2 months. I would rather get a property sold within 2 weeks, not because I'm looking for the quick sale, because I know it's for the beneficial interest of that seller. They don't see it that way, right? So sometimes they just need to be guided a little bit and let them do things their way, because it depends on people's personalities too, and you're going to learn a lot about that. But if somebody's really strung-ho and wants full control on it, I'll give it to you at the early stages on. That's your fault because, you know, you want to dictate things. But then I have to make sure that there's a deadline.
Yeah.
If there's no deadline, I'm walking away.
It'll drag on, yeah.
I have to. It'll drag on.
So you'll tell them.
Sure,
you know,
because
we'll leave it on for a month. If we don't get anything, then...
Yeah, because, you know, when you take on a listing, it doesn't come for free. There's a lot of expenses that come with it, right? So I got to be willing, knowing the fact that, hey, I got somebody who's motivated and wants to get the job done. I understand he wants top dollar, and we all want to try to maximize it, because the more money I sell that house for, the better it makes me look as a realtor.
Of course, yeah.
Right? So we're all in it to do what we want, to maximize and get you as much money as we can. Some people just are unrealistic when it comes to their price point. And they feel, and everybody feels, a majority of sellers feel that their house is the best house in the area. Right? Their house is the castle. Everybody else is below them. 99% of consumers think that way.
They also look at, you know, something that occurred in the area 3 months ago. Well, we're not in 3 months ago, we're in now.
Exactly.
So for them, it's kind of like, it's hard for them to grasp that it was worth $200,000 more 3 months ago. It still must be worth that, but...
For sure. And then another point is, you know, they'll look at properties that are currently listed on the house. Well, look, my house is better than that. They're listed at $1.3 million. You know, and they think now because our house is better, it should be worth more than that. Well, we don't look at what's for sale. Our comps have to be based on what has sold, what has transacted. That's the sale price. That house could be put up for sale for $1.5 million. Doesn't mean now your house should be worth 1.6.
Yeah.
That's not realistic. That same product or a similar product where we can make our adjustments on it, if it just sold for 1.2 and you're superior by 40, 50,000, well, let's get to that $1,250,000 a little bit closer instead of pricing it out at $1,350,000. It's the wrong way of doing business, right? And you know, sometimes you're going to get those objections through the process when you go into a listing presentation.
I think you brought up a good point there too. It's kind of making, you know, the seller or the buyer feel like this is a team. You know, my interests are aligned with yours at the end of the day.
Correct.
And we're in this together, right?
Yeah.
I kind of want to flip the script a little bit with you. So if you could go back 20 years, you just got your license today, what are kind of the first steps that you're going to do? Having, you know, your 20 years knowledge already of what went wrong, what went right, what would you do? What would you kind of make your first steps now? Maybe differently than what you did when you first started out?
I would have really started with a mentor, for sure. I think I would be further ahead right now in my career. Teams weren't around back then.
Yeah.
So the good component is, you know, for you guys is that you got teams out there and wonderful team leaders that can help and guide you through helping your careers.
Yeah.
I never had that. I think I a little bit more mentorship and guidance for me would have really changed my growth perspective. And that's one thing I would have changed right away. Or really got involved with a coach early on, just so I could not have wasted, and because I made a lot of mistakes, and I probably wasted a good 5 years in making those mistakes before I really, the light bulb clicked, and I said, oh shit, this is how these fucking guys are doing it. This is how they're closing transactions. Why didn't I think about this a little bit earlier? And now, here I am today teaching it.
Yeah. So you think the first kind of most important step is, going to find someone who's been, been around, done that, been kind of align yourself with someone where you want to be eventually, and kind of just following them around, seeing what they're doing, so you can avoid those early on mistakes.
That's exactly what it is. You know what I mean? And I think mistakes are going to be really crucial, and they'll cost you a lot of money. You would probably jump in today and thinking that social media is going to be the answer to exploding your business career and becoming social famous. That's all good. You need that. I'm not saying it's bad. Don't get me wrong. But that's not the thing I think you should be focusing on. No. You understand?
Yeah, we're focusing on, producing, closing deals. Right? Yeah.
Let the other stuff come in after. But other than that, and listen, your social media, the people that follow you are your people. There is there is a circle of influence there, or your sphere is within your social media for sure, and I think you should speak to them. But I don't think that's not going to really drive to you becoming a top producer within the industry. To become a top producer, that's just one sector of it. How do we implement other proactive lead gens
to put it all together?
Fill up your pie. We're not transacting 10 deals a year, because we know what the numbers are of what realtors are doing, and the reason why they're only transacting so little is because they are not doing the right things every day. Right? I just want to bring up a quick point. If I was going to move to a different country, I tomorrow can go to Florida. I can go anywhere I want. That has an MLS system for sure, low modern, but anywhere, even in the States. Let's say I wanted to go to California. I want to start a new life in California, and I wanted to become a real estate agent in California. I think within the first 6 months, I can really look into start taking over those markets. Why? Because my proactive lead gens would be the exact same thing over there, right? The first thing I would probably be doing is looking on their system and look at all the expired listings that didn't sell on the market. And I would definitely go out there, and all I needed was one listing. And that listing would have started a ripple effect for me to get multiple listings on it. And I think within 6 months to 12 months, I would have a team started, and I would be able to start a whole new business anywhere around the world that fast.
So that core, you can kind of bring that core knowledge around with you anywhere.
Exactly.
And you can still, drop down there and still become successful with that knowledge you picked up already.
Correct. Okay. Correct. And that's what we try to teach our agents. And right now, the effective cycle of the branding and the marketing and the money that we spend to that should help you guys transact more within the business because of our reputation and the backing that the OP team has provided within this community. If you're saying, hey, I want to be a Toronto agent, or I want to be an agent who's in Etobicoke, or I want to be a Mississauga realtor, or you're living in Milton, probably not the right guy for you, right? Because I don't have any recognition or brand there for you. But if you were going to go and do an open house or a door knock, or you were going to do something, because we have a brand that's trusted and likable, and we show that we get the job done, I think it's easier for you guys, and I think it's valuable, and I think in the long run, you make more money for it.
Absolutely.
For sure. So you talked about there's a lot of agents. You said, I think there was 70,000 people just signed up with Treble alone.
72,000. It keeps growing though. But the number of staggering deals that get done to those agents are less and less.
For sure, yeah, because you have the more experienced people, and they're the ones
mega
really
teams,
taking.
Mega teams where it's gone. I was one of the first pioneers with a team early on. And I had a gentleman on last week's podcast, Dan Plowman, where he's the one who incited me to have a team, believe it or not. So listen to that podcast. It's going to be airing out next week. Dan is an awesome, wonderful individual, or this week, something like that. I know that we have some clippages that are going to be running. If you're a real estate agent, that's one episode you're really going to want to check out. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah. Okay. So now you're talking about mega teams. Do you ever think that you would take? I know right now it's a very family-like, very small, not very small, but you know, you have a modest team. Would you ever take it to that like next level where you then start bringing on a bunch of agents under you?
Yeah, I don't think. Listen, I've come a lot and I've learned a lot with having teams too, right? So I've gone through those experiences. So let's say I wanted to teach somebody how to have a team. Believe me, I can coach them and make them understand not what and really not to do the same mistakes I made. I used to have almost close to even 20 agents. I think now with you guys coming in on board, we're total 15, something like that.
Even if
those numbers,
if that, yeah,
about 15. But it's not about hiring just anybody anymore, right? We're different. We don't want. I won't hire any part-time agents, and they have to be the right fit for us, and the type of culture that we're trying to build within on the team itself too as well. So. It's not just for everybody. So I can get to 40 agents, no problem. It's not what I want, right? For me, it's about having the quality agents that want to come in and succeed and produce and do that. And also through the process, I believe that it should be fun. It should not be something that where you dread waking up in the morning and doing that job or going to see, those members. I want to work and have team members that want to be part of that structure and that see the longevity and the growth and the future of the OP team. So I'm always looking, yes, to scale and to grow, but it has to be with the right people. I can't do it myself.
Yeah.
But I need good people, and I have surrounded myself, and I've learned that it's not a number. It's not about the quantity of
quality over quantity. Yeah.
It's about the quality of realtors you get.
Yeah, and I think obviously that helps your brand, helps people trust you. All that, you don't want to put your name on somebody.
100%. It's all about how they're going to represent me and my brand too as well, right? And it's a partnership, and I stipulate this all the time. You don't work for me. We have a partnership agreement amongst each other, and that's the way I like to be, introduced to somebody, and I would introduce you to somebody that way because it is a partnership, and it's collective. We both want the same thing. You want to see us succeed as we grow, you grow, and I want nothing more to see you guys grow and succeed, and make as much money as you can.
Yeah.
But my biggest component for you guys is making sure that, or anybody listening to the show, don't let the money drive you. Let the passion drive you. And that's essentially what we need to focus in on.
Yeah. I feel like when you take the more let the money drive you, you go into more of a selfish way of doing things and just
desperation, and you put people into bad
situations 100%. And you don't care, you wipe your hands with them, it's done, they're out of my face, and I'm just gonna go get another sucker to
work on that, and that'll only lead to short-term growth.
Of course,
right. My long-term growth was because I made people a lot of money through the process.
The money will follow. The money will follow the passion.
The money will be a byproduct.
Yeah.
So have you ever dealt with any very, unprofessional agents, someone you just couldn't stand, someone making your life very difficult, like you knew they were doing something, sleazy or just something that wasn't in the best interest of their client, your client, whatever the case was? How do you handle a situation like that? I know you're supposed to, never talk bad about your fellow realtors and, always we want to make our industry look like we're honest people, right? But there's always going to be some bad apples.
There is. And, I always just focus in on the things that I can control. And, I look at them to say, wow, you really make me look good. And sometimes I'm flabbergasted on the choices that consumers would make in hiring that realtor and why you would hire that realtor. But who am I to judge? I just focus in on the things that I can control every day, and that's about me just having my mindset in the right place, looking to do what's right for me and my team members only. And if I'm in that situation at the time, I'll deal with it, and then I just move on and I forget about it. Yeah. Really, yeah. I can't help everybody.
Yeah,
of course. So
and you can't stay hung up over one situation.
No,
you gotta move on. Though. Yeah,
I used to. That took a lot of practice.
Yeah,
that took a lot of time. I used to look at. No, I'm a very competitive guy for sure, and that's what drove me to try to get always to be at the top.
Yeah.
But it was always with good competition. It was never with any enviness or jealousy towards another fellow realtor.
No.
It was because it was somebody that was in my pocket and they got a listing. Shit, how did he get that listing over me? Or if I was in a listing presentation that I lost, that's like me losing a hockey game 2-1 in an overtime period. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It does suck.
Yeah.
you know, but I move on and I go, okay, it's, you know, wasn't meant to be. There's always the next deal, right? And that's the way I look at the game. It's a game for me. It's a sports game. And I look at, you know, how do I win every day? And I'm not going to win every day. You know, there are days that I don't want to get out of bed and I don't want to go to work. It's just part of life.
Yeah.
But I have to just, you know, wipe it off, pick myself up.
Keep plugging away,
Keep plugging away at it. And that's what I did. And there was always something. Always so. I can't stand when people tell me. One of the biggest pet peeves is somebody come and tell me that they got nothing to do.
Yeah. Always have something to do.
There's always something to do. And if you got nothing to do, come tell me. I'll give you a list of things that you could be doing every day.
Yeah.
Right. So you got to be able to have that kind of right mindset every single day and just be focused.
Yeah. I think the last thing that I was going to touch on as well is one of the benefits of joining a team is you have someone or people around you to keep you accountable as well. Over, you know, going off by yourself, you can kind of lose track, you can kind of lose focus. Being with a team, you're always going to be around those people. You're always around your team leader that can keep you
accountable.
Yeah.
My wife, though.
Yeah.
My wife does. Yeah.
And I think we keep you accountable as well, as especially, you know, kind of following you and what your path and what you're teaching us as well. You know, your wife keeps you accountable on one aspect. We keep you accountable on the other aspect, learning from you as well. So I think that's kind of one of the other benefits of a team too that people might not realize is that you kind of get, you know, you're not watched, but you're helped and, you know, developed by everybody around you. Everyone's kind of pushing towards a common goal.
100%, and I wouldn't take on somebody knowing that I couldn't allocate some time for them to make sure that I was going to contribute my promise to them as their promise would be for me as a team leader as well. So I think we're going to have, definitely, I think we're going to be cutting on time over here right now, and I think we're going to set up probably for a part 2 of this at some point in time.
Absolutely.
Sure. I know our marketing team is going to set up this because I'm sure it's wonderful information for young real estate agents. I just want to thank you guys for doing this with me. I know we threw you right into the fire all the way, but you guys were great sports about it. You guys did a wonderful job, and I just want to say thanks for coming on and doing this for us.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. A lot of gems in, you know, just a short period of talking. You kind of pick up things, fast track you so much. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate, you know, one of the most honest people that I spoke to be honest, in the industry. So I appreciate, you know, wanting the success for us and wanting all the good stuff.
And we will, and I can't wait to share the success and publicize that success. So stay tuned. These 2 people, we're going to make them rock stars, guys. But thanks for tuning in, and see you on the next episode.
Looking to buy or sell? Call a team you can trust. Don't believe me? Our Google reviews say it all. Put us on your lawn, your house will be gone. theopteam.com.